Hey guys, I want to do a really fast live on industry whores and Schilling. So I want to thank the sponsors real quick. Kenzies Optics, Riton Optics, Taurus USA, and Crossbreed Holsters. Thanks to them, and appreciate everything they do, and of course, Canic for donating the recent pistol. So we're going to do a really quick, 15, 20-minute segment on a popular topic that's come up a little bit. Morning, it's Sean. It's frickin' 10 o'clock. It's 11 on the East Coast. I hope it's not morning. Come on. Where are you that it's morning? So, I wanted to do a quick topic that I think you guys will enjoy really fast, which is industry whores and shills. This is something that's come up. If you guys, asked me recently about a few people, and you guys know me, I don't offer my opinion. I stay fairly neutral. I don't really care one thing to the next what people do or how they do it, and I never bring up names. So I wanted to just touch on kind of my thoughts of what industry whoring and shilling is. I work with a lot of brands, so I'm gonna pick on myself for a minute. I think when you work with a lot of brands, it comes down to the history that you have with those brands, okay? And it comes down to the relationship that you have with those brands. And thank you guys to everyone who taps hearts and shares this. It'll be about 20 minutes long, but it's going to be a pretty passionate one. It's something I feel strongly about, and it's something I talk a lot with a lot of folks about, behind the scenes especially. So when you're creating a sponsorship program as a brand or as a company, you look for certain traits in people. The idea team up, or the ideal matchup, is when you work with somebody that you love and you have been a customer first. That's always my big thing. So there's one thing, and I'll pick on myself, especially in our industry, that you kind of bounce around a bit. Everybody uses different holsters. So holsters are something that people use a lot of, and everybody tries different supplements. I would say those are definitely two categories. You're going to see people kind of have different opinions. You can't tell me all you drink is Bang energy drinks when you go to some stores, they don't carry them. So you have to get things like, Monster or other things. So it comes down to being, as Cassie touched on, transparent and being honest. There's different holsters for different situations. I love my Crossbreed holster for my 1911. If someone was to ask me, I love it for certain applications. There's things I love about it. There's certain stuff I love. They make Velcro ones. I love that for my bags. But it's all about being honest and being transparent. I think this industry, as well as the fitness industry, are going through a massive shift right now in how you whore yourself out for product, or how you market yourself, or how you structure yourself. So I work with a lot of athletes, and I work with a lot of people on creating a marketing strategy and working with the proper brands. And thank you to everybody on YouTube. And I'm sorry if I look at this camera and then I look at this camera, because I'm trying to answer the people on YouTube as well. So I appreciate when somebody has a genuine love for the product that they use. And usually that's pretty transparent. You can genuinely see the love that people have for First Form products, for example. And you can genuinely see the love that people have for certain brands that they've been with for an extended period of time. So I think you have to be very careful how you whore yourself out for product and how you position yourself. What do I think is inappropriate in having this conversation? I find it slightly amusing, being in the position I'm in, when you see people out there that market themselves a certain way, or market a product a certain way, and you know full well they've never used it. It's the equivalent of a 600-pound person that's out of shape, that's never lifted a weight in their life, marketing, weight loss stuff. It's not a downer. It's just you've never used it, and you're not showing me that you've had success with it. I see a lot of people out there, and when social media first hit the scene, especially in the defense industry and in the firearms industry, when it first hit the scene, everybody was diving into becoming media people. Everybody wanted to be a media person. And I sat back and I watched, and I took my lumps, and a lot of people did. But I looked at a lot of the people that were becoming quote-unquote media people, and they looked like they'd never been to a training in their life, or they'd never been through any training. And I think they thought just because they purchased a gun, their opinion mattered. And it does to some people. Everybody's entitled to an opinion. But it comes down to what I always try to educate you guys on, and I'm not, trying to slow anyone's game or do anything like that. It just comes down to, do you feel that that person has really put something through its paces? Do you feel that somebody's actually used that product to a level that you may use it to? Okay? So you see a lot of people out there, they become shills. They're running around and what they're selling is an advertisement. And that's where I think a lot of that is correct when people judge people. They're selling an ad. They don't know anything about that product. They don't know the first thing about that product. Okay? If I was going to buy a piece of kit or I was going to buy something that I felt was going to enhance my experience on the range, make me a little better at something, I'm going to go and I'm going to ask a Tony, I'm going to ask a Tulam, I'm going to ask some of these guys. And the reason for that is because I know that they've actually used the product. And they've used it in a way that I may use that product as well. And that to me is the most important thing. I don't care that they're getting paid. And I don't care that they're making money. My big issue with it is, do I feel that that person has actually used that product? So I recently changed supplement sponsors. I went from Blackstone to Onnit. And it's not that I went from Blackstone to Onnit necessarily. Onnit has a particular line of products that I love. And I love to use them. So they're awesome. What's up, girl? And I love them. So they make so many great products, so much awesome stuff. And I really enjoyed using Alpha Brain, and I enjoy their proteins, and I enjoy everything that they make. But if you don't actually use the product and you don't genuinely pass that authenticity, it's never going to work. A lot of you guys know I went and did Mark Bell's podcast. You guys are all familiar with Slingshot, and those are huge friends of mine, huge supporters of mine. I genuinely love Smokey and all the guys over there and the gals. They're all friends of mine. I use his products almost every time I'm in the gym, without question. He has an awesome line of products. I love his stuff. I love his wristbands. I love everything. When I signed my Gasp fitness contract, I felt like I made it. I grew up on Gasp. I owned the products. Do you know how they contacted me? I actually wore the product. That was how they contacted me. I wore the product in a shoot one time, actually shooting. I was shooting, and they contacted me. And it just so happened Michael loved shooting, one of the owners, and Branch and all the guys there loved the sport, and we all got friendly. So I love it. And that was when I felt like I made it. And that's the kumbaya. A lot of people that shill, it's very easy to see. So when I go to these shows and I work with a company or I work with a brand, a lot of times what I'm looking for is, would I genuinely use that product, and do I feel like that product fits my demographic? Okay? I love Riton Optics. I like the price point. I like Vortex. I like the price point. I love the owner of Riton because I've met him. I've shook his hand. He's a Fed vet. He's all those things. He's done it. He's walked the walk. Great guy. I love supporting Brady. Genuinely, he's not out there paying my bills. He supports the podcast. So it's a lot of those things that factor into it. And I think a lot of people get caught up in who's a shill and who's a productor and who's all these things. But I think you genuinely do have a responsibility to convey a love for the product and a genuine love for the game, and for what you're doing, and it's helping contribute to your growth. If anybody knows me around the industry, I will tell you this. I'm not in it to get rich. I'm not in it to have a bunch of products sent to my house. I don't even have a house. I'm in my car. So I'm driving cross country right now. I don't stockpile my home with shitloads of shit. In plain English, it's not what I do. The giveaways, 90% of them come straight from the companies. There's people with different motives and different goals. My whole thing is just to give back to you guys and to have enough that it pays for the podcast and pays for the interviews and pays for everything that's associated with the cost of the podcast, of the business. Other than that, If I make $500 and I can go to dinner once a while, I'm happy. I'm not in it like that in a way that I have to crush it. If that comes along later and I do very well from a business standpoint, that's awesome. And I can only pick on myself. I'm not going to, this isn't about a naming of names and whatever. I think there's a lot of product whores out there. I do. I think there's a lot of people that shill, okay? I think a lot of people have gotten fat on YouTube for a while. And getting fat on YouTube, they have become a little bit of shills. They charge a lot. They do, a lot of interesting practices. It's their prerogative if companies are willing to pay. And sooner or later, I will tell you this, guys, and I'll defend every athlete out there till I'm blue in the face. When you work very hard, and it is work on social media, and you work very hard creating content, you do have to cash in. You have to get paid like it. So there is that moment. There is that crossover where you have to get your money out of it. It's like owning a property. At some point, you have to sell it or rent it. You have to get your money out of that property. So I have no issue with that whatsoever. Do I think it gets a little egregious? Do I think at times it crosses the line and it becomes what I call advertising? And do I think it should be denoted as such, advertising? Yes, I do. I genuinely do. And I'll feel that way for a long time. So my criteria is simple. Very simple. And I'm going to give it to you. Number one, you all know I love lists. Number one, do you walk the walk and talk the talk? Do you use the product? That's number one. And does the person look like they use the product? I got sent a clip of a very, very notable channel. I use channel in the defense industry. It's a very notable channel. And they were pushing a product. And I know full well, and this is in the defense industry, looking at the person, they've never used that product a fucking day in their life. And they look like shit, and you can tell they move like shit, and you can tell they barely have shot a gun. I looked at this and I was like, this is a straight ad. I'm like, this is a straight advertisement. And I'm like, the fact that people actually follow this blows my mind. Not to say the content's bad, but at some point I would just be like, dude, this is an ad. Like, stop. So I think at some point, you have to look at if the person uses the product and if they genuinely use the product. A lot of them, I would say no. I would say no. Second, you also have to look at something that's really important. Are they passionate about it? Can they talk articulately about it? Have they met the people behind it? A lot of the companies I work with, I've worked with for years. I've worked with Crossbreed Holsters for years. They're one of the first holster companies I worked with. Go all the way back to the beginning. You will see pictures. You will see content. You will see stuff. I was doing stuff with them in their media department before they even had a media department. Kenzies Optics is a brand I've worked with on probably every podcast I've ever run. I've grew up going to their store at shows, going to their booth at shows, buying their stuff. So I've worked with those guys going back to marketing directors. So I think they're a fantastic brand, a family-owned company, and I think what he's done in this business is phenomenal. It's created a juggernaut. I think that's absolutely commendable. So I can pick on myself. I've had a long-standing relationship with them. Breakthrough, Inforce, a lot of the different brands I've worked with through the years, I've had a very long-standing relationship with. I can't tell you how many bag companies and how many bags I've worked with through the years. Just because I travel so much and I move around so much, I have so much experience with using different bags. So I love all that stuff. I actually enjoy giving my opinion on how it's marketed, how it's structured, all those things. So I suggest to all of you guys, when you're looking for an opinion, you don't have to worry about calling them an industry whore or a shill or anything like that. Thank you for the hearts. Thank you. Industry whore or shill or any of those things. Just know who you're following. And I tell you guys this all the time. Understand that who you hit like and follow to and who you pay attention to. I don't care if they have 5,000 followers, and I don't care if they have 5 million. They better genuinely care about the brand that they work with. First Form does a fantastic job of this. They do a fantastic job. Onnit does a fantastic job of that. They educate you. I've spent more time on the phone getting education from Onnit than almost almost anybody. You have to make sure you take the steps to do your due diligence and spend your time understanding the brands that you're supporting. And I won't work with a brand, unless I have multiple calls with them, multiple interactions with them. I've used the product and I feel really comfortable. Do I think to an extent I've earned the right to have, be able to test, be able to look at some stuff and try it out? Yeah. Do I think I'm an expert in all things? Absolutely not. Do I think my opinion maybe comes from the inside out because I've been on the inside? Sure. Absolutely I do. But I think it's really important for all you guys to take a step back, understand who you follow and who you pay attention to. That's why it's not about the giveaways and it's not about all that stuff, even though that stuff is good and it has a place. I like to spend time learning about the brand and learning about, and Cassie and some of the people who have been with me since the beginning, they know. I'll spend 2 hours on the phone with a company, getting to know them, getting to know what they're about. And have I been burned by companies? Sure. Have ambassadors been burned by companies? Sure. And I'll tell you how they burn you. There's a lot of companies out there, there's a lot of people out there, there's a lot of companies that set up a booth, and you go to them as a professional in good faith, and you have a legitimate business. Whether it's podcasting, YouTube, you have all these things. You have legitimate businesses. And you set up a lot of structure. And you tell them, hey, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this. And they will look you right in the eye with a straight face and they say, well, we can give you like a muzzle brake to give away. And you're like, I'm going to sit here and I'm going to spend doing something I enjoy to do, but I know my worth doing it. And I'm going to spend an hour putting together a segment for you, and I'm going to spend my time typing and putting you guys to the forefront of the things that I'm doing, and you think you're going to give me a muzzle brake? I would much rather those companies take a giant step back and just realize that they're not there to work closely with people with a certain level of marketing experience and a certain level of, reach and all those things, because I think it's unfair. I think it's a very unfair game, and they shouldn't do that. And a lot of times they'll tell people all they want to hear. I've heard every horror story there is to hear around the defense industry and around the fitness industry and around those different places. I like to work in a program, and it's not always about the money. My Onnit situation is not about the money. It's not. I genuinely feel the products fit my website. And if you head over to my website and you look at the products, I've taken all those products. I enjoy them. They're great. I've taken them all. They work awesome. Alpha Brain, I love all the different products. The BCAAs, the protein. So when you're doing your research into who you want to listen to and what opinions you want to get, that's important. Now, some people said some comments over here, and I don't want to ignore them. I saw a company on IG said that they're welcome to our new sponsor. I looked up her, and she just holds a gun, no shooting, no competition. You're going to see a lot of that, Daryl. That's very common. The gun industry and defense industry is still in very juvenile years of social media. You got to remember, you have a lot of 50-something marketing directors that really don't know what they're looking at. They really don't understand what they're staring at, and they don't really know how to see who's developing a community for them. Finding the right product for the purpose can be tough. There are so many products and marketing campaigns pushing a narrative. That's absolutely right, Sean. There's a lot of people pushing a narrative. Daryl, that happens way too much. People still, unfortunately, base their purchases on that. It's true. There's one female I'll buy what she uses. That's Gun Girl Jen. She's a badass. Jen is a very good person, and Jen does get out there and compete, and Jen does use a lot of the stuff that she markets. Jen's a great family woman. She's awesome. She does genuinely shoot. I can vouch for that. There are a couple females that buy into their opinions for me, but what do you have here? Let me see. Any other questions? Yeah, most I see is just bikini and topless photos, no shooting. Yep, there's a lot of that. And at the end of the day, I tell you guys the same thing all the time with the females, and you can write this down. It's 100% how I feel. I have no issue with people with the sort of quote-unquote gun bunny culture. I think the gun industry and defense industry needs to get way past that. I think it needs to get past that. But they have to learn how to categorize them. The problem is it's a very juvenile industry. Yes, we are in a very juvenile industry. We worry about what people are doing. Who fucking cares what someone else is doing? If that's how they choose to market themselves, do not follow them. I compare it all the time. Does Ronda Rousey care about the girls carrying the ring cards around a ring? No. So you have to understand where these people fit in the pecking order. You know what I mean? Exactly, Frank. That's a great way to put it. I'll buy the calendar, but not the product based on the photos. Thank you. That is the best way to put it. Who cares what they do? Until people out there and people stop giving a shit about what someone else is doing, this industry's never going to grow. I don't care what somebody next to me does. I love Tony, Real World Tactical, to death. He's one of my best friends. Everybody knows this. You know, I love Guy Sestrino. He's one of my best friends. Everybody knows this. I love that guy. I love everybody. But what they do is what they do. That's how they market themselves. That's how they do it. You know, that's how they do it. Semi-Auto Kid says, not for nothing, a lot of the gun bunny recent pictures show that and has a lot of followers. Very rare finding a girl that's beautiful and shoots. They're out there, Semi-Auto Kid, and beauty is how you interpret it. You know, I happen to be good friends with Michelle Viscuzzi and Michael, and they have a beautiful family and beautiful everything. They're great people. They're awesome, and they're great. I happen to think Michelle's a sweetheart. I think she crushes it. She's a world-class shooter. I think she's great. But it's just, you have to, everybody has to stop worrying about what other people do. Just hit unfollow and don't pay attention to it. And I told you, I've taken a new opinion on blocking. You know, just awesome. You know, buy the calendar. It's cool. So, do I think there's shills? Do I think that there's people out there that are, whores and product whores and all that jazz? Sure. But do I think we have to do a better job of just turning the page and tuning it out? Yes. You empower them when you follow them. You empower them when you talk about them. And you empower them whenever you acknowledge. So keep your mind right. Worry about what you have going on in front of you. And, you know, a lot of people get in a background and things like that. Look at people who are actually doing it and actually participating in the game. I am by no means a world-class shooter. I am by no means a world-class anything. I will say this. I've got a lot of years in this business on the inside of the business and a lot of years working at an executive level around this business and spending time with people that do make a lot of the decisions. That I can guarantee you. That's undisputed. So I can tell you exactly what's going through the thought process of companies and what they're doing and how they're doing it. So I've been there. I've done that. I've seen it and got the t-shirt to prove it. So I get it. I can explain why I think, of course I think the hunting industry is riddled with shills. And there's people out there that are straight actors. I'm not going to name names, but there's people out there that are straight acting. They set something up, they take a picture, and they make it sound like they were on a 3-day hunt. Or they make it sound like they were on camping. And they've never camped a day in their fucking life. I know it. They know it. Does it have a place? Yeah, because people endorse it. I don't care what they do. Now, pay attention. Get smart about it. Follow who you want to follow. Support who you want to follow. What it is, Union Electric, is they don't create communities. They don't create communities. I mean, there's some people, to me, it's really simple to pick out the people that are acting. You don't drive across the country as much as I do, and you don't spend as much time on the road and at shows and in places that I've been and trained with the people I've trained and met the people I've met. it's not an act. It starts to become real life. So, you know, I don't walk around shows in a costume and play cosplay. Sorry. I'll work on that. But I don't care what people do. You know, Tony doesn't care what people do. People close to me don't care what people do. Do it. You want to dress up in full kit? Go for it. So, you have to pay attention, guys. So I'll leave you with this. If you want to enter any of the contests, make sure you head over to the different pages, and make sure you head over to YouTube today. I'm going to get on the road. I'm going to be on the road. I'll do a little live from the road, get a recap of this, see what you guys think. Make sure you download episodes. Make sure you do your best to subscribe and like and do all that jazz. Continue to tag people in the last post that you want to see sponsor the show. Continue to do that. It's helpful. I'll work with them as best I can. I'll give them my opinion. If I don't think they're a good fit, I'll sort it out. But I want to give everybody an opportunity. Head over to Podbean, leave some comments. Head over to YouTube, leave some comments. Okay, let me know what you guys think. I appreciate everyone, and I appreciate all that you guys do. I genuinely do. And I thank you. It means a ton. It means the world. Can't thank you guys enough. I do my best to get back to people while I'm on the road. Sometimes it's not fast enough. I get it. Doing all I can. So, I'll be packing up. I'll be heading off. Hope everyone has a great day. And I hope everyone gets, all that stuff. I spoke to, wait, let me read 221B's. Time out. Literally spoke to someone the other day who said a girl he follows on IG who has O2 called him saying she's broke. On the surface, she looks amazing. Tons of followers. Dead broke. 221, it's absolutely true. It's absolutely true. And part of it is because they've based their entire existence on social media. And that's the difficulty. We've talked about this. You know this. So, I have no problem with shills. I have no problem with product whores. Know what they are, though. Know what they are. Because I sure as shit, guys, know who the ring card girl is or who the calendar girl is when they walk in the ring and they hold up round 2. I know who they are. So open your fucking eyes. And stop complaining about it. Stop following it. And don't pay attention to it. Let it be. Okay? I will promise you this. I will probably never take a holster recommendation from someone who clips the holster to their bikini. It does not make sense. That's not how I wear a holster. I'm sorry. I'm not a 114-pound female. No disrespect. It just is what it is. I will find someone comparable that trains like I train, that works like I work, and does the things that I do, and I might take their advice. After I ask them some questions. Okay? I put Chris Woomer in that category. Veil Solutions. Chris trains hard. He trains aggressive. He trains in a lot of the disciplines I train. If Chris says it's good, then it's good. I would put 221B Tactical, Suresh, in that category. He trains hard. He trains often. If he uses the piece of equipment, he says it's a good piece of equipment. I may check it out. It's important. Pay attention. If Tony Sentimont uses something, Real World Tactical, he says he ran it in a training, you can bet your fucking ass he ran it in a hard training. It's probably pretty good. If I was a betting man. So stop it. I blame everybody else. I blame you. I blame all the followers. Pay attention. Open your eyes. Okay? Don't take advice from someone that doesn't train like you train or doesn't use the equipment like you would use the equipment. Stop it. You're only embarrassing yourself. So, appreciate everybody. I appreciate everyone's time. I'll go live from the car. This isn't a rant. It's just fact. And I think everybody needs the fact once in a while. So I appreciate everybody, and I appreciate you guys' time. I'm going to sign off. You guys know what to do. I'll talk to you guys later.